This is UK Versus coming to you from the future. Let's get some backlights in and let's talk about the 3rd of February ban and errata list that's just dropped. Why has this dropped so early? Well, let's take a look. There are 2 updates to our standard format ban and errata list this month. Since our previous ban list, we've been watching the meta for specific indicators. One of the main things we were looking at is whether or not space near the top of the meta was more diverse than less. While some characters shifted around, things did not quite unlock the way we were hoping. This month, we're going to take further action for both the meta and the upcoming Godzilla and Kaiju. So, they're dropping the ban list early. This gives people going to Worlds more time to prepare, and we're seeing that unyielding destruction and equipment heist have been banned. Devil Jin has been knocked down a huge amount. Now, I'm happy with equipment heist going. Unyielding destruction, however, that's insane. Unyielding destruction has been one of the most difficult cards to evaluate in the history of the game. Its impact in constructing play has been hard to see at times because the decks don't match well up against it. Simply did not get played. This leads to top cuts where unyielding destruction having a fairly normal looking result. In reality, unyielding destruction is a shape of a card we like to see in the game as an accessible tool meant to help combat decks that attempt to play a very passive and build-up mentality to checkmate. Yeah, I get it. It's not a fun card to play against, and it was designed to stop these major wall decks, but it's the only major deadlock out we have. What stops Izuku Midori from really popping off? What stops Mikasa and Hange from really popping off here? This is a great way to control the board state, and I'm really sad to see this go. This, however, this can go down in a hole. I hate this card. Equipment Heist does incredibly cool things and is interesting, allowing players to cheat resources in a powerful way. There are a few problems with this card, but at the forefront is the way that it gets the way that the gameplay gets interact with few solutions. Yeah, you need to have the solutions for this, and it becomes a situation of you need to have the perfect answers when your opponent draws this. If you don't, you just lose. Equipment Heist isn't the problem, it's the assets it can pull. It's twisting Azo Inferno all over again. Azo wasn't the problem, it was the actions that could manipulate it that were. Despite this, I hate this card. I actively don't play this card because I would hate it. We've unfortunately reached the point where essentially every deck that could be an Equipment Heist deck has become an Equipment Heist deck. The package is so powerful that characters with evil support are solely being evaluated on their ability to play Equipment Heist. And this was brought up for my Gigan. Gigan was previewed and immediately went, this is a cool Equipment Heist deck. And that should not be your first response. This card forms at a high level and has a fairly number of a fair number of realistic counters. I think this is an absolutely solid thing, and the fact we're getting this 2 weeks early says to me that, yeah, UVS Go, we want Worlds to be as competitive as possible. We dropped the list early, we listened to the players, we looked at the meta, we looked at what was being played, and what decks were being built, and what content creators were talking about, what the community was talking about, and they've dropped this 2 weeks early, giving players more time to adapt. This is absolutely huge, and I may now have to do another podcast talking about what the World's meta is going to be, because the problem cards, as it were, are gone, and the big question is, what stops Mikasa and Deku now? For February's news and more, win, lose, or draw, I'm February UK Versus, and I will see you at game night.